No, sorry, I have one follow-up, if you don't mind.
Yes.
Unless you have to do.
Yeah.
Follow-up regarding the parents.
Yeah.
So you mentioned about the parents, in the example that you gave, the King's Dominion. That's totally relevant, right? But it's not about the parents, it's about Allah. But what if it's a situation where you're doing something against their will, the parents' will, and it displeases them, and it has to do with an issue of culture, for instance, okay? So an issue where maybe there's a cultural practice that the parents come from a particular country, and they do something, having to do with whatever, it could be many different things. They do something in their homeland, which they come here to America, and they expect their kids to do, or they expect their son-in-laws to do, or daughter-in-laws to do. But the children don't want to do it because they feel doing that is a cultural practice that maybe is in conflict with Islam. But the parents believe it's something that's Islamic.
Okay, good.
I don't want to go into specifics.
That make a lot of sense. And let me just, in the issue of the parents, disagreeing with your parents, it depends what you disagree with them on. Sometimes could be, maybe they have different view of life, especially if your parents are immigrant and you've been brought up in the United States. Therefore, your cultural frame of reference is different than theirs. Although it could be both correct from Islamic perspective, none of them, your parent point of view and your point of view, both are compatible with Islam. And then what do you do in this kind of situation? The healthy situation is to be able to explain to your parents why you disagree with them, and the parents to have an open mind and open heart to understand there's a two different cultural approach here, and there's a different generation understanding. I don't like to call it generation gap, but I would like to call it a generation outlook or view of life. That's the ideal situation, that when people come to know that I cannot force my children to be 100% Sudanese. I cannot ask them, for example, to stay as long in a wedding if they don't want to stay. If they show and give their respect and so forth, and they would leave at some times out of not feeling comfortable just being in that environment, that would be fine. But the other solution could be also a compromise. Is that one time you do what they please to them, sometimes they do what you want to do. Therefore, the back and forth, so that you create a kind of harmony between you and your parents. Or sometimes you could be that I do what they want me to do when it is in the social comfort zone and the social environment, we make them comfortable, and I want them to allow me to have a space of my social environment, as long as it does not compromise the principle of Islam again. And therefore you create that kind of situation. But you have to remember that sometimes our discomfort of not comforting, or discomfort in comforting our parents, it will bring comfort, inshallah, in life to come. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward us tremendously when we are pleasing to our parents. And here I would like to give an advice to all of us, because myself, I'm a parent, that we have not to burden our children to ask them to do things that we know for sure that it does not necessarily Islamically an obligation. And we don't like to create what I call social hypocrisy, where you have your child have a double life again. We want them to be consistent. Or you have to accept that, the different social environment where a person react differently. It depends where you are. For example, if you are in Japan, and not even your parents, but in Japanese culture, you take off your shoes before you enter somebody's home. No matter how much you are not comfortable with taking off your shoes, you have to try to accommodate other people's comfort and to be respectful to their culture. And the same thing, think about it in your social environment, in your family. Either as a parent, sometimes you might do something that, for example, if you don't like football, but your child loves football, and he playing in the college team or playing the high school team, and they want to come and watch the game. You try to pretend that you like it, and you eat some popcorn, and you stay there and you cheer for your child to comfort them, you know. And sometimes if the child feel that the Pakistani or Sudanese wedding go too long, but they know they're pleasing their parents because they drove their parents to the wedding, eat most of those candies and enjoy the spicy food, and maybe go and have another sweets, or try to find a way that you connect or try to get to know a new person during the wedding. Make the good things out of it. Therefore, this is what I would like to say, that you need to be able to compromise and to have open mind to understand the needs of your parents, and the parents understand your need, and come to a happy middle ground. Any other questions? Good, alhamdulillah.